Welcome to my channel, Cloud and Data with Ocean. So today we can discuss the Docker complex. This complex, I will say. So this is very useful and important concept in the Docker world. So first we have to know what is Docker Compose. Docker Compose is a tool for defining and running your multi-container. Means we have different containers in our system, right? That can be front end, that can be back end database. So this multi-container system we have to manage this. So how we can manage and run? With the help of Docker Compose. It allows you to define a group of related Docker containers. So in a project, in a real world project, we can see there are multiple types of containers. There is no only one container we cannot work, right? Because if we are working in a one website project, so there can be front end, there can be back end, there can be databases, right? These three tier application will be there. So we have to containerize each and every thing in separate and isolated basis. And when now we have to compose, means we have to connect it, we have to gather all the things and we have to run all small chunks or isolated piece of container. Okay. With the help of YAML file. I hope we already discussed the YAML file. The extension is that yet another markup language. So what is the benefit of Docker Compose? Why we can choose the Docker Compose? So we already know Docker Compose is used for managing and running multiple containers at a time with the help of YAML file. Now let's see what is the benefit and why we can choose the Docker. You can see I already create some drawing in the structure, and this is first is the defining services, right? So there are multiple benefits of Docker Compose. First is define services. You can see define services. Second is orchestration. Third is isolation. Next, environment management and easy scaling. So one by one we can discuss. So defining services. You can specify the services or containers. Services means they are containers that make up your application in the compose file. So we can compose at a time, right? Different, because in a real application, there can be front end, there can be back end, there can be database, or multiple other things to be manageable over there, right? So each service can use a specific Docker image. So we have front end, like we're working in a Vue.js or React.js or AngularJS project. So this project, we have to create some images from the containers, right? From the image, we have to create the images, and from the images, we have to set the containers, right? And we can use environment variables, we can use networking, we can configure our networking, and we can define the volume. So these all things are coming under the defining services. So this is one thing that that is the reason we can use the Docker Compose. Second, orchestration. That means it simplifies the process of multiple containers that meet and work together. If your application requires a web server, suppose a web server requires NGINX or Apache web server is required, a database is required, simple things. We require data. Without this thing, we cannot create the web application or any other application, right? One web server is required. We need one web server. We need database. We need a release cache mechanism system. So we can define all of them in a compose file. So we cannot create separate images because real application there are thousands of images, thousands of things can be involved inside the project, right? So as per the business need, we can separate all the things, and these all things are running as a isolated process. Means we are gather all the things at one place and we can compose. Front end, we can create different images, we can create different containers. So all the things we can run in one file. This file name is YML file, and from that YML file, this is the all the things we can create a compose. So orchestration is the one major thing that we can choose the Docker compose. Third point is isolation. So Docker compose keep containers isolated. That means front-end, back-end, database, Redis cache, these all are isolated to each other, right? Means they are different, separate entity, we can say, right? We can talk with the multiple containers, one container talk with other containers with the help of networking that we can cover in the future session, right? How we can create the networking, all the things. First, we understood the Docker compose concept. So isolation is one of the reasons. Then we can choose the Docker compose. This isolation makes it easier to manage and we can scale up and scale down, right? Scale it and scale down and application components. That is the one reason we can choose the Docker compose. We can manage environmental variables or environment, right? So we can set different environment variables, the configuration files, the application host, the URLs, the API host. So these things we can easily manage. Then different environment, development, testing, production. So we can use this type of concept, the environment variable. We already know what is environment variable. So in React, Angular, or other application, everywhere environment variable is used. Node.js, .NET, PHP, Python, everywhere environment variable is there. So same concept we can use in the Docker world also. That is called the environment variable because we can develop our application. Once the application is developed, we can test it, we can deploy it in the production. So all the things we cannot create different components. Instead of that, we can create environment and we can manage that environment with the help of Docker compose. So fifth point is that easy scaling. So you can easily scale the number of containers. If you require 4 containers, if you require 5 containers, so number of containers we can easily scale up and scale down as per your needs. For example, you can run multiple instances of a web service to handle increased traffic. So that is the reason we can use the Docker compose. We can each and everything we can mention inside the Docker compose file. And as a whole, we can say this is called simplified deployment, right? With our headache is so much less over here. We can define each and everything. The containers are running in an isolated manner. We can use front end, we can use back end, all the separate things we can collect together, gather all the things in a Docker compose. So the concept, that is the reason composer. Composer means separate thing like one editing. We can edit something, right? In a real world example, we can say we can edit different slides. Okay, we can create different slides and then we can gather together. We can connect it together, and when it runs, it seems like that it is working. It is flawless. That is the reason Docker Compose is there. This is very important concept, and all the things are attached. And we can say that we are simplified our deployment. Right? We can. This is straightforward to deploy your multi-container application consistently across different environment. So we can make the consistency. Whenever we can use that application consistency, that's the reason we can use the Docker component. And we can use the same thing with the help of development machine to production machine everywhere. So now we can show how we can initialize the Docker component in the Ubuntu system, right? So first you have to initialize the Docker compose and then you can create the YAML file. So in the next session we can show that the entire one project, but now we can see that how we can compose, how we can initialize the Docker compose, right? So first you have to go the Ubuntu system. I think it's timed out. 1 minute. Then go copy the public URL, paste it 54 1 second. Yeah. Now it is copied. Go there to provide the username. Ubuntu. Go to the advanced SSH setting. Click there. And now just do it. You go the specified path where the PM file is located. And okay. Yeah, now it's connected. You see here. And now we go to the administration sudo mode. Now first we have to run this command. Already we mentioned this command. It is only very basic, simplified step, not very straightforward. You can go and run this command. So already I have in the administration mode, so I just copy this thing. Go there, paste it. So this the meaning is that it has downloaded the Docker compose on the binary from this link. Okay. So call L and that URL you have to provide the username and this is the uname minus s and your the location is there user local bin Docker compose. If I go to this place, local bin and you can see that font is changed. It's cd Docker compose and place. So this is the place where Docker compose is there, right? And now next command is that you exit from sudo sed here. Next we have to provide it this command. So you have this meaning is that you have to provide the execution permission. So after downloading the Docker image, we have already downloaded in that specific folder, right? And then we have to provide permission. For that, permission is given And if I go again this place, the user neutral bin is ln. You can see that rw xr minus x. That means root permission they are providing, right? Execution, we can execute permission from the Docker compose, we can provide it from this folder, for this folder. Now we have to check that installation is done or not. So for that reason, we can use Docker compose minus person. And you can see Docker version is showing, and this command should display the installed version of Docker compose. This Docker compose is given, right? Or I think something of permission that the Docker compose not. Yes, this is the right command. Sorry for the mistake. So Docker compose version. You can see Docker compose version is showing. So earlier showing that Docker version. So I feel the doubt, and that's why I make some space. So that's the reason it's showing something different. Means the Docker version is provided. Now you can see if you write Docker compose as version, we can provide the Docker compose version. So we have successfully configured a Docker compose in that machine. I hope you can understand what is the Docker compose concept and how we can initialize the Docker compose in the new system. Anywhere you can run these three commands. It can first download the binaries, all the required things, and then we have to execute the permission. We have to provide the permission, and then when the permission is provided, then we have to check the Docker compose version. That means if it is written Docker compose version, then Docker compose is installed in your system. Then in the next video, we can create some YML file, and then we can see how we can deploy the Docker, see different things, and get together and merge together and run and build the application. If you like this video, please subscribe my channel. Make your comments in the comment box, and I think you all can understand. And thank you for watching this session.